Good morning, friends. So I'm here in my car. I think this is probably going to end up being another like impromptu Mad Ramblings episode. So I'm going to take this back a little bit, okay? We all have these ideas of like being, of like self-importance, right? Like we think about like our life having purpose, and we think about, you know, making a mark on the world, and we think about like, I just want to make an impact. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to leave the world a better place, all these things, right? Also, like, let's just take into consideration before we even get started, like, let's just taking like religion completely off the table here, okay? Like, I'm not talking about religion at all. That's a totally different subject. I'm talking about like purpose in life. And I'll be like completely frank with you. Like, most of the current problems that I'm facing started after we lost our baby, Lake. That was just like, it changed a lot of things for me. Afterwards, like immediately afterwards, I just kind of I was like bombarded with these thoughts of like, what is the purpose of life? Yeah, I know, like groundbreaking, right? Like Chandra's thinking about the purpose of life, so deep. But really, I was like, what is the point of all this? You know, like, what are we doing? What is the point of this experience happening to me? Like, we weren't trying to have a baby. Like, we thought our family was complete. And then we, you know, got pregnant by surprise. And then we were like so in love, you know, like we were so happy and excited about it and just like completely embraced it and everything about it. And it was like, wow, okay, cool. I accept this. Like, this is my plan. I thought it was something different and I had it wrong, but this is actually my plan. And then it was all like what felt like just ripped away. And the feeling I had was like, what is the point of this? Like, this seems like a cruel joke, you know? Like, now I'm going to deal with this, and like now I'm going to live the rest of my life with this like gaping hole where for nothing. Like, what is the point of this, you know? And ever since that day, like, that's been over 2 years. It still feels like yesterday, but I still think every day, like, what is the point of all this? Like, it kind of just, I don't know, like, it made me start thinking about all of the things we do on a day-to-day basis. Like, I'm sitting here just struggling. I mean, like, swimming in the sea of grossness that is body image and dieting and diet culture and food. Like, if you like get elevation from it and you look at it from a different perspective, it's like, not that stuff doesn't matter. It's not to say that like you're stupid if you think like that. Like, I'm in it, but like sometimes if I give myself a little elevation, it's like, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Like, we're all gonna spend our whole life. Okay, so like I listened to, this is why this is called Mad Ramblings, because I just mad ramble. I got my head full of stuff swirling around and I just have to get it out. So you're the sweet recipient of it. Also, I'm wearing leather leggings today because that makes things better. So also because I'm really bloated and they're actually surprisingly comfortable and stretchy. Anyway, Mad Ramblings. So I've been talking about this with my therapist a lot the last couple of sessions. Because what it was feeling like to me was like depression and hopelessness. It was like, I didn't have purpose. I don't feel like I have purpose for my life. It feels like no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, even if we're the best person who ever lived, like, let's just put it like that. Let's just say you're like the single best person who's ever lived. Like, you create world peace. Like, you just, yeah, everything, right? Like, you change so many lives. Realistically, like 99.9% of people are going to forget about you completely within a week of your death. And the people who really, really love you are going to think about you a little bit until they die. And then once everyone you knew is dead, you basically didn't exist anymore. Even if you're the best person on the whole planet, you know, your name might be in a history book or something, but like, no one really is going to care in 100 years. And how many 100-year periods have we had? I'm not smart enough to like know the science, the history and stuff. But point is, my brain thinks about that stuff a lot. I didn't ever think about things like that before, but I think about them a lot now. It feels like existence is futile, and I don't know, like sometimes it gives me purpose because I'm like, okay, drop the bullshit. Like, this is Instagram. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit about Instagram? Who gives a shit about anyone on Instagram? Who gives a shit how many followers you have? Who gives a shit about whether or not your pants fit? Who gives a shit if you're 400 pounds or 90 pounds? Like, who actually, grand scheme, big picture, gives a flying shit? Probably not really anyone at all. So for some things, sometimes it puts things into perspective for me, but also sometimes it really makes me feel like hopeless and lost and without purpose. And, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. Like, here we are. Like, we're in it. You can't get out. Not really. You know, you're all intertwined in relationships, and you have people who care about you and people who need you. And, you know, the world makes like microscopic movements in response to your actions in it. So your existence does matter in the day to day, but I don't know if it does grand scheme. I was listening to, oh God, I love Mad Ramblings. It's like my own personal therapy session with myself and all of you. You're welcome. I was listening to Gary Vee this morning, and he was talking about the same thing. He said he legitimately feels like he might be the best person, like just a good person that has ever existed. So I love Gary Vee because he will just straight up say things like that. And he was like, but point blank, like, I'm going to die and people are going to share their stories and they're going to be like, oh, here was my moment with Gary Vee and here's a way that Gary Vee impacted my life. But then realistically, probably within like 3 weeks, no one's going to care about you anymore. No one's going to think about you. No one's going to talk about you. Like, people will move on, and that's the end of Gary Vee. And I was just like profoundly, like I was just listening to this 10 minutes ago. I was profoundly affected by that because I feel so much the same. Not at all that I feel like I'm the best person in the world, but, and that I feel like so much of what we do is futile. And so I know, like, every time I post things like this, which isn't very often because I know this is a really big conversation, but people come at me with religion, and I'm not saying like don't come at me with religion. I'm not upset about religion, or I'm not upset about people's religious beliefs, but it's not like, that's a different thing to me. That's not what this is about. I'll probably just have to mad ramble about religion on another day because that's a whole other big subject, but I don't know. I think I'm just starting to see a different perspective right now, that I have been looking at it for the last 2 years since losing Lake. Ooh, like, damn it. Been thinking about it like it was depression and hopelessness. And I don't know that that's really true anymore. I don't know if that's really what it is. I think it's just, when you just have to get like really real about accepting who and what you are and what you do in the world and what really matters, it's really confronting. And it means that you have to, like, it has a lot of consequences, you know? So, oh boy, well, this is fun. So I don't know. I got up this morning and I got on the treadmill, and it wasn't because I wanted to be skinnier, and it wasn't because I wanted admiration, and it wasn't because I wanted more followers on Instagram. It wasn't because I wanted to look good. It was because I know that, like, moving my body is like a celebration of my health and my life and my body, and it feels good, and I feel better when I do it, and I know that it's good for my body, and for those reasons I want to do it, and I felt better after doing it. And I think that I was like, part of being able to think about it in that way was this confronting idea of like, what is our purpose on earth? Woo, sister, I brought it full circle. Took me a minute. It took me 9 minutes, but I got there. Okay, that's it. That's what it is. Okay. there's some mad ramblings for you. I have to go do actual work now. Because I have to, because I'm existing, because I have purpose. So there you go. Have a great Thursday.